recording. We go live on Facebook, and we're just here, right? Really easy time here. So today I am here with Stu Heinecke. This is exciting. We have great stuff today. And Stu, I screwed up your name, didn't I? It's Heinecke, damn it.
Oh, I didn't even hear it.
You didn't even hear it, but I did. So it's Heinecke. So Stu is the author of this amazing book here. This book is called How to Get a Meeting with Anybody. And this is Stu, and we're excited to be here today. And before we talk, though, I got to introduce the fact, dude, you do cartoons, man. How did you learn to do cartoons? Tell me about this, Stu.
Oh, my God. Well, I was just asked this yesterday. How do you get into cartooning? It's kind of a similar question. I taught myself. Now, I taught myself, but really, no, actually, that's not true. You look at what other cartoonists are doing, you say, and that's, I used to sneak, my brothers and I used to sneak Playboys out of our father's dresser doors as kids. And so, we looked at the pictures, but of course, I'm also looking at their cartoons saying, well, who are these guys? How on earth do they do this? And so I guess I probably studied it pretty hard, actually. Every time I saw cartoons, I'm saying, okay, how did they do it? What did they need to do to convey this idea? How did they condense it? How did they draw this? And then eventually, I became a sort of published cartoonist in some local papers in LA. Well, big papers, but in LA, they're local to LA. So, and that was fun. And I joined the Cartoonist Guild. And what I found out was that that cartoons always show up in these editorial readership surveys as being the best read and remembered part of the magazines and newspapers, which is unbelievable, right? I mean, there's everything in magazines and newspapers is meant to be memorable and get your attention and so on, but cartoons were it. So I started my business and I started using cartoons with advertising, and eventually I pulled in a lot of those cartoonists whose work I was seeing as a kid first, in Playboy, and then later in life in the New Yorker and so on. And so as I've worked with them and I've watched how they pose hands or just all these different things that they do to show different kinds of expression. And so I've really learned, I've kind of taken a master class in a way by working with, and I guess I was mentored by a lot of the best cartoonists in the world because of that process.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. No, that's a good story. So pulling out of that, right? A couple of things you said. I like that you watched others, and then one of the big things that you said, but you didn't use this word, but I heard deconstructed their process to figure out what worked and what doesn't, so that you could do more of what works and what does, and less of what doesn't work, which makes a lot of sense. So so right now, I mean, do you still do that, Stu, or do you watch other cartoonists, or what's your process now?
I see what you're saying. Somewhat, but really now it's deconstructing my own work. I mean, eventually so the thing is, as a cartoonist, you're going to go through all the crappy ideas that you could possibly come up with first. And you're going to go through all the crappiest drawings you could ever come up with first. And so, eventually what you end up doing is that all becomes natural. The writing and the drawing becomes pretty natural. It becomes an expression. It becomes uniquely yours and uniquely your voice. And that's kind of where you need to get to. In terms of writing gags, though, it seems like the fewer words, the better. So it gets word, although that's not always true. Actually, there are no hard and fast rules, are there? But generally, the quicker you can communicate the idea, the better. And so I'm working on one right now to submit to the Wall Street Journal. I never know what they'll take, but it's going to be two people talking about Putin, and they're over a cup of coffee or something, and one of them is going to be saying, "Isn't Putin the shorter version of Rasputin?" Or Rasputin? But anyway, it's contained in there. Somehow I'll massage it, as you say, sort of deconstruct it any way I need to make sure that it just kind of pops out and you go, "Oh my God. Oh, you know what? That's so true." Because ultimately that's what humor is about. It's about truth being revealed in a twist. And I don't know that there is a big twist there, actually. Well, there is, because I don't think most of us have thought of the fact that Putin is part of the word or name Rasputin. So anyway, it's just kind of that process. You just keep, I don't know, you just keep working it over and working it over until it works.
Yeah. Wow. So I love what you said there, though, all about, revealing the truth with a twist, which kind of reminds me of the book, Made to Stick, right? That's what they were talking about, right? You find your anchor and then you twist it, like Netflix is Blockbuster, except to your home and now streamed. So I think that's really interesting that you find that about humor too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So very, very interesting. So cartoons, right? So they're fun, but I think the thing that people miss is that they're also extremely effective. I mean, this book would not be possible without your cartoons. So the interesting thing that I really enjoyed about your case study is the whole, how you started out doing that. So tell me a little bit, tell folks who don't know your story, Stu, how you got started and why you talk all about contact marketing, please.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I kind of started that story just a moment ago when I was saying that I've been cartooning all my adult life, actually. But I studied marketing at USC. And so, I wanted to mix the two, and kind of funny because the experts of direct marketing were all saying, don't use humor, it doesn't work. I think it came originally from David Ogilvy, because Ogilvy used to say that not only did humor not work, but people don't buy from clowns, and he didn't believe in humor for a while. He changed his mind, actually. But here's the thing, when I discovered that cartoons were turning up in readership surveys, editorial readership surveys, to be the best read and remembered parts of magazines and newspapers. Well, the marketer in me said, okay, well then, of course, this is a great tool. We got to use this, right? And personalization at the time was just, you can see I'm not that young. So when I came out of college, personalization was becoming a force or a factor in direct marketing. What I wanted to do was I wanted to create direct mail campaigns, direct marketing campaigns for the biggest, most really prestigious and maybe glamorous users of it, which were the magazine publishers at the time. And so, and I wanted to combine cartooning with direct response, because I knew that this device, I knew it could become a device to pull people in, to engage them, to pull them all the way through the order process. And so, so I was lucky. The first two assignments, I was really lucky, because my first two assignments were for Rolling Stone and Bon Appetit magazines.
Whoa!
Big names, right? Great place to start. And I created these two test mailings for them. And all mailings they're all tested against the control. And that may not make sense to everyone. So I'll explain that in statistics, you're always measuring against a control group. In direct response, the control group is the most effective thing that marketers ever put out in the mail. So you're always competing against those things. And so I created these two test campaigns, and both of them beat the controls. So one for Rolling Stone, one for...
Wow.
I mean, Phil, this was like a rookie walking onto the field, the baseball field, the Major League Baseball, and hitting two Grand Slam home runs. You're not supposed to be able to beat these things.
No.
I mean, they're controls for a reason. They're really tough to beat. But obviously, cartoons was showing me had legs, and so I thought, okay, perfect. This is my opening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a little campaign. I'm going to reach out to, well, really, what I want to do is I want to spread it to the rest of the publishing industry. So what that really meant was I needed to reach about 24 VPs and directors of circulation or of consumer marketing. But these were VPs at Time Inc. and Condé Nast and the Wall Street Journal and Forbes and so on. And I knew they shouldn't be very easy to reach, right? So I thought, well, it's not going to be easy, but hey, I've got a great story and a great device. So I'm just going to send it out to them. And now, in back in those days, we always used to hear that if you get a 1% response rate to a mailing, you're doing really well. That's really, really successful. It's not a real number, actually. There is no such number, but that's what I used to hear. And I realized, well, if I get a 1% response rate to this campaign to 24 people, that's not even a whole, that's not even one
person. That's not even a whole person.
Yeah. That's right. It's like one guy might have thought of it, but then, no, or forgot about it. So, and I was thinking, well, I can't even tolerate a 10% response rate, which would be huge, right? I wanted 100% response rate. And I knew already that all the pundits also were saying that it's impossible to generate 100% response rate, but whatever. I just thought, okay, fine, I'm going to do this. So I put together this little campaign. I called it a contact campaign. I didn't know what else to call it. And it consisted of a little, 8x10 print of a cartoon. Each cartoon was personalized to each recipient because that was the device. And then it went with a note that said, hey, this is the device that I just used to beat the controls for Rolling Stone and Bon Appetit. And I think we should put this to the test for your titles. And it's funny because when I tell the story to a group, I always ask, so what do you think I got for a response rate? And you read the book, actually.
Yeah, so I won't answer, but yeah, it's amazing.
Okay. I got 100% response rate. I got through to all of them. Not only that, all of them became clients. So it was 100% response rate and 100% conversion. And, it launched my business. It was worth millions of dollars to me. I mean, from there, I worked with all the big publishers in the country. And it all came from a campaign that I spent maybe less than $100 on. And I thought, holy cow, that was amazing. How far can I take this? Who else can I reach? And so I started playing around and started reaching presidents and prime ministers and celebrities and more usefully, C-level executives, CEOs and also just really top decision makers. And it was easy to reach them. And I was like, well, okay, cool. I've got a secret weapon. And it didn't occur to me until a little while later that, oh, come on, I'm not the only one who's ever faced this challenge. So what's everyone else doing? How are they breaking through? What are they coming up with? And that's what led to the book. I mean, that's what led to this guy, because the people out there are doing the most incredibly audacious and clever and, smart, ingenious things to break through. And so it's been just an incredible journey, even just to hear these stories, but then to be able to get to be the person who turns around and says, here's a book about it. Here's the whole, it's not really the whole story, actually. I don't know if I'll ever know the whole story because there's so many people doing so many crazy, interesting things that I'll never be able to keep up. But, just gathering together what I was able to gather up for the first book, and now I'm working on the second one. It's an eye opener. It's just incredible to see what people are doing.
Wow.
That's why I got started.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So 100% though. I love the fact that you worked your butt off to make it personal and customized and hyper targeted, as opposed to now what we see. People are so broadcast, scattershot. Oh my gosh, I need 10 million people. And that's not the case at all. I mean, if you want to make an impact, right, have a personal conversation with someone, right? A personal pitch that's relevant to them. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And, LinkedIn and other social media platforms make that pretty easy at this point. Oh, not just even that, but also then AI now is making that even more easy to do. So what's interesting, Phil, is that when I started, there was one form or one definition of personalization, or let's say form of it anyway. And now there's really a completely different one. And it's interesting to see it evolve, almost splitting into two completely different things. So one was, when I created the cartoon mailings, I wrote the gags, either I or the cartoonists in my group, we wrote the gags so that there was a place for, or data insertion point for first and last name, or first name, depending on. But there were always, that's where we put the name. Cartoons and personalization, I mean, that mix of cartoons and personalization really has been standing the test of time. People still love to get cartoons about themselves if they're on target, and if they got to be funny, And it also helps if they see, oh my, they realize this is done by the guy or the woman that's in the Wall Street Journal or the New Yorker. Oh my God, this is really cool. And when that happens, they get really, really excited about these things. So that's one form of personalization. And that form of personalization, by the way, as I mentioned, there's a data insertion point. You can use a list. I mean, that's direct mail. That's all kinds of response campaign fodder there. So that's one way. But the other way is that people are now using LinkedIn and other social media platforms to scrape profiles. I mean, sounds kind of nasty, but it's not. It's just they're looking for what makes this person tick. What are they interested in? What are they working on? What are their personal interests? What's going on in their personal lives? And then they want to speak relevantly to that. And so, I've been hearing from a lot of people who've read the book, and then they come back and they say, "My God, I love the book, and it changed my life, changed my results. Let me tell you the story." And so there's one. Actually, I was just going to say this new edition. This is the paperback edition. So this just came out. And I added this one guy's story to the beginning of the book because it was just so amazing. And so what happened is the fellow's name is Dom, and Dom wrote to me and he said, "Yeah, I read your book, loved it. I'm using it. It's changed everything in my life." And I said, "Please tell me your story." So what he said was, he said that he was hired out of college to become an SDR, and it was with a late stage startup, big one. And they said, "Okay, what we want you to do is we want you to make 100 phone calls a day. Not just him, but everybody in the room, all the SDRs, they were tasked with, you've got to make 100 phone calls a day." And what he found was, I mean, I think you would expect this, Phil, but you're kind of random dialing.
Yeah, 2% maybe.
Yeah, it's not fun to do, It's also hard to make it effective. And as he was finding out, actually all of his colleagues were finding out that out of 100 calls made each day, he might get one worthwhile conversation. That doesn't even mean there was a follow-on or a deal. And so one night he was eating dinner with a friend and just lamenting this problem, saying, I don't know what to do, but this is just killing me. And the guy said, "Read this book. It's my book. Read the book and then see what it, figure out, use something that's in there." And so he did, and what he came up with is, I'm going to start. Now I'm going to take one of the accounts that none of us have been able to reach, and I'm going to do some research and find out what he's interested in, and I'm going to reach out in a different way. So the first guy discovered he's into cooking and technology and family. So he said, "Okay, great. I'm going to have an apron made up with an Arthur C. Clarke quote about technology, and send it to the guy." Well, the guy loved it. And he said, "Oh my God, you know what? We need to meet. Let's talk." So they talked, and then they connected, and he got a deal. Now this is an account that no one in the company had been able to reach. He just shut the door. But because Dom went through this very personalized process and responded in a way that said, he just acknowledged who this guy is, that it opened the door almost immediately to a big deal, actually. So next, Dom's colleagues are saying, "Wow, what are you doing? How did you make that happen?" And he said, "Oh, well, here's how I did it. Would you help us with that?" Sure. So he helps this one guy, one other SDR, who's saying, "Okay, here's another account. I haven't been able to reach him. Okay, let's do some research on him." We discovered the guy's really into falconry. So they went to a falconry site and they actually dialed the owner and said, "We'd like to give someone a gift who's really, really interested in falconry. What can we give him?" And the guy said, "Here, this glove. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful." They hold the falcon up there. I can't really do it, yep. But and if they hold it with their bare hands, they're not going to have a hand. So beautiful leather gloves. So he said he showed them this one leather glove, $95. So they said, "Sold, we'll buy it." They sent so they ordered it, but they also took a picture that was on the site, downloaded it, put it in an email, and the rep wrote him and said, "Hey, I'm going to send you this. I just want to say hello, and I noticed that you're really into falconry, and so I want to let you know I'm sending you this glove." Well, the guy responded immediately and said, "Oh my gosh. This is beautiful. Thank you. Look, I want to tell you, I'm not a prospect for what you're selling, but I want to thank you. That's a beautiful glove." So, all right. Well, then the glove arrives. A few days later, the glove arrives, Then he gets right back in touch and he says, "Oh my God, I love this thing." He probably took a selfie with it, and he'd say, "I loved it." And you know what? I remember I told you I'm not a prospect. Well, I'm not, but I know 3 other CIOs who are looking for exactly the solution you're offering, and I'm going to make introductions. So they got deals out of that. And
wow.
Eventually, then management starts saying, "What's going on down there? What are you doing? How are you getting these deals?" And they all pointed their finger to Dom, and Dom said, "Well, I read this book, and and this is what I'm doing." And they made him sales manager. So a year out of, they made him sales manager, and then this company was acquired by, I think, Cisco for $4.5 billion. So
wow.
A year out of college, Dom starts using contact marketing, and it changed everything. And he was promoted to sales manager of a multi-billion dollar multinational company. It's astounding. And I just keep hearing stories like this. So, but there's that other form of personalization. And I think the two may diverge because, one of the things that I think might be an issue there, it looks like a light's turning on in the back of my, there isn't, just my camera going. Anyway, but one of the things about that super researched granular personalization approach is that it's really hard to control your brand and all that. So, one time a rep is good. You don't know what your reps are sending, actually. So they might be sending, I think they'll be sending all kinds of things.
Wow.
And I think that's maybe, I don't know, jury's out, still out. Maybe it's a problem because as marketers, we do need to control our brand and message. But I don't know. We'll see. I think it's just amazing.
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing too. And it's interesting you say that because I think old school marketing really worries about that control. But I don't know that the new school marketing worries as much as long as, you put the customer at the center of your experience, right? I mean, if we could, we would produce an experience separate for each one. And it's not like you do that for every client, but, you mentioned in your book, first key is to research those VIP clients, right? So it doesn't go to everybody.
Yeah, that is true.
Really important, right? And then we craft that highly personal message. And then 3, deliver it through something intriguing. I think that's very different than mass personalization, which frankly, we see through.
It is. But all I'm saying is though, you can still end up with pretty much consistent messaging. For example, when I use the cartoons, we're not changing the caption. Well, yeah. Anyway, we're changing elements of it. Kind of hard to explain, actually, quickly. But generally, we're not. Mostly, we're just changing the names.
Yeah, you're not changing the meaning. You're just changing the names.
No, because if you start rewriting captions, you will degrade the gag. It's almost guaranteed that it's wound around a stick really tightly, and to change it is really to kind of unravel it. But still, the cartoon, the cartoon, does what it does, and we don't have to keep changing it. I don't have to keep changing it because one guy's into falconry and another guy's into family and cooking, and then this woman over here is into flying paragliders or something. That's not what that's about. What we assume is that all of these people are pretty invested in their careers, and so a lot of the cartoons that we use are about them and their careers and about how they're standing in the business world and how they're thought leaders and others are following them and so on. And I know that mostly people are going to say, "Oh my God, this is so cool," right? As long as it's, as long as there's some sort of there has to be a gag. It has to be funny.
Well, there's got to be a payoff.
Yeah, there has to be this. Oh my God, that's so cool! Oh, look at that. By the way, you can get that reaction. It doesn't just come from cartoons. It comes from anything that's done in a very, very clever, ingenious way, all the way down to business cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Also, you mentioned old school versus new school.
Yeah.
And what we're on is a cycle. This just goes circular. And so there is no, we started here, that was old school, now we're over here, and then pretty soon we're going to be way over there. It comes back. And in fact, if something is old, we'll call it old school. But, direct mail right now, because that would be something that everyone would say, oh my gosh, that's so old school. But, sending something through the mail has become pretty novel, actually. And if you send someone a handwritten note, when I send a card and it has a cartoon about them and I've written a note inside and I've signed it with if it's my cartoon and I happen to sign my cartoonist signature in there, I know that's astounding to get. It's like, oh my God, that's the cartoonist, right? I know that's just astounding. So is that old school to do that, or is that just smart, to use channels that aren't crowded,
Yeah, well, absolutely, right? We think about customer service, right? Everybody goes to wherever they're going to get a response. I mean, that's why Twitter customer service works. It's not because Twitter is this magical platform. It's because it's the point of least resistance. It's the least crowded space. I mean, that's why, people change to Slack channels. Well, Slack is just ICQ and IRC from 15 or 20 years ago, but nobody's using it. So therefore, it's less noisy than our inbox.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And, why try to fight the crowd? I mean, there are ways to fight the crowd and stand out in the crowd, but at the same time, if you want, can I show you something?
Yeah.
A guy wanted to get in touch with me, and so he sent me this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's just a block of wood.
Awesome.
and I'm just saying, I don't know if it's clever. I mean, is the block of wood clever? I'm not sure what it is. It's just so intriguing. It's so funny.
Well, it's different.
Of course, we connected.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said for getting rid of what is probably being expressed when you use the term old school. Get rid of that and start looking at whether channels are crowded or uncrowded. Where are your best places to stand out, or your best opportunities to stand out, and use that.
Awesome.
Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. So what I kind of took from that one is, don't worry about old school or new school. Go where it's less crowded and spend your energy there.
I think so. Now, even, LinkedIn might be the most crowded channel right now for certainly making business connections. It's like a fire hose, and you just keep connecting with people and they look interesting, but there are so many, and it's just impossible for our brains to engage with everybody. And so, it's getting easier and easier and easier to make a contact on LinkedIn. But if you're going to make a difference, if those contacts that you're making are going to make a difference, you need to do more than that. So why not this came from someone that I connected on LinkedIn with. So that's pretty cool. I still have it on my desk. I'm not going to forget them.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, stop with the contact and start with the connecting.
Are blocks of wood old school? I don't know. But it's the only time I've ever gotten one through the mail. So, but is sending things through the mail old school? Yeah, I guess so. I mean, the post office has been around for years, and handwritten letters is how we used to communicate as a society, and now people generally don't. So when you get a handwritten note from someone, that really stands out, and it humanizes you. So actually, all of the I've realized as I've written about all these different contact marketing campaigns is that the objective is to break through or to get noticed, but really what it is to humanize yourself and to do it in a way that has the person on the other end of they're on the receiving end saying, I love the way this person thinks. I love the way Phil thinks. Oh my God, look what Phil sent me, this block of wood, or whatever it is you might have sent. I mean, there are all kinds of things to use. And by the way, it's not even about sending things. It can also be other channels. But I would say LinkedIn and email are the two most overcrowded channels right now. And if all you're doing is sending emails, and if all you're doing is making those connections on LinkedIn, you got to do more than that. You got to do more than just, well, actually, you certainly have to do more than a much better job than reaching out to someone on LinkedIn, and then when they accept your friend request, hitting them up with a pitch. I mean, that's about as boneheaded as it gets. Right?
Yuck!
It's horrible. But you got to do better than that. You've got to do something to stand out still, always. There are so many people in the world. I think I don't know what the count is, but isn't LinkedIn closing in on 1 billion users?
Yeah, I think they're about 600 or 700 million now.
Okay.
They're getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, but they're getting huge for sure.
So our brains cannot possibly comprehend connecting with everybody, or with, up 1%, a thousandth of a percent of that. So you got to you got to have other strategies for standing out. And it goes, we just talked about old school. So, I'd love to talk about business cards a little bit. I'm working on the next book, by the way. So the follow-up to How to Get a Meeting with Anyone will be a collection of case studies and photography. And so you actually get to see what these campaigns look like this time. And one of the areas that's really, really been fascinating to me is business cards. When you Google the coolest business card in the world, or something like the coolest business cards in the world, there is a collection of business cards that keep showing up over and over and over again. And when you look at these cards, you realize these business cards are cool, but we see them as cool because they're completely different. They're doing a completely different job than what everybody else's business cards are doing. Right? I mean, everybody, we all have business cards. Mine fall into the same category, by the way. They show something about us. They show our logo. We try to make them as impressive as possible, and as do designers. So we put them on cool stock. Maybe we put them on black with neon green and then black sandwiched. I don't know where that came from. Somebody's breaking into our.
Let's hope not. Yeah.
But so the sandwich stock looks really cool, or putting on aluminum, or there's now laser cutting on in aluminum that's incredibly intricate, but it doesn't tell you anything more about what they do or what anybody does, other than the people who laser cut the thing. But or on carbon fiber or wood or whatever, and all it does is it gussies up our contact details. But business cards could be so much more. And so I'm going to hold up a couple of these. I hope you can see it. This is Kevin Mitnick's business card. And I think he may have the coolest business card in the world. So what you may or may not be able to see here is that these little pieces here, you can twist them off and get them out. This is a whole lock picking set. And Kevin's probably the most notorious computer hacker in the world. He used to, well, actually, there are a lot of them now, but he went to prison for hacking. And when he got out, he ended up becoming this really sought after speaker to talk about internet security. It was a new thing. And then, well, how do you prevent it? And I think there's a movie out about him. I don't know what the movie is. I haven't interviewed him yet. It's coming up. But what he's paid to do is break into other companies' computer systems and tell them where the soft spots are, where they need to, So that's what he does. He keeps hacking and he keeps talking about it. He keeps going all around the world speaking about hacking. But now he ends up with this business card. And the business card, again, I'm going to hold it up. That lockpicking set is a visual metaphor for what it is that he helps you prevent. He's going to help you keep people out of your locked system, and actually you can actually pick a lock with these things. They actually work. So it's a visual metaphor for what he does. He's showing you right away the value that he's going to bring. He's demonstrating it, and that card is so popular on the internet that he gets so many requests for it that they now sell them for $12 a piece. Like, you really have to have one. I'll sell one to you. And I know it doesn't cost him $12. And when he goes out and he speaks, well, the business cards are so well known all over the world now that after the speech, they make it known that you can come up and talk to Kevin, and he'll give you a business card. And people are climbing all over each other to get to it. Literally, it's bedlam. It's they're climbing all over each other to get to his business card. And I can guarantee you that nobody is doing that to get our business cards.
That's
right?
True.
Yeah, I mean, and what business cards could be for you is they could actually be a contact campaign. This could be something. I mean, imagine going up and saying hi to the receptionist anywhere and saying, "My name is Kevin Mitnick, and here's my business card. I help with internet security, and I wanted to talk to someone. I'm here unannounced, but I wanted to see if I could meet with so-and-so for 5 minutes, just to introduce myself." And when he hands the receptionist this business card, and the receptionist walks back with this and says, "Well, this guy, this is his business card. He's a internet security guy. He's going to meet with him." Right?
Absolutely.
So that's what our business card should be doing. So is that old school? Who cares? I don't even know. But I don't even know. I wouldn't know how to classify it in that way, but who cares? Use what works.
Use what works. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
That's great. That's great. So Stu, when is the new book expected to come out?
I've got a publishing meeting tomorrow, so I thought it was this time next year, but it looks like it may be now August of next year.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's cool. So Stu, if you had one more opportunity to just remind people about marketing and about standing out, what would it be? Like one more thing, even if you just want to reinforce something you already said.
I think I'm going to go back to if you want to. Well, marketing is about making connections and about influencing people to do business with you, to have a relationship with you. And we have all kinds of spurious ways of starting those relationships. I suppose just they're based on a manipulation or something else that's not sincere. But if what you do actually instead is you focus on the value that you want to bring to someone, and you find a way to express it in a way that has the person, well, really just kind of enthralls them and just has them saying, "Holy cow, that's really cool. And by the way, I love the way this person thinks." If you get to that point, if you get to the point where the person you're trying to reach, someone who's really important to your success, someone who could change your scale, and you've reached out to them in a way that has them saying, "Man, this is so cool. And by the way, I love the way this person thinks." You've really opened the door to something valuable. I think that's the whole point of marketing.
Awesome. So, yep,
yeah.
Couldn't agree more. The whole goal is to get people to say wow and open the doors up so that they're open to buying from you and having a deeper conversation, to make a connection, not just make a contact.
Yeah, humanize yourself and make that connection. Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the book is How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. This is my buddy Stu Heinecke. Stu is also working on another book. Stay tuned for that, coming out sometime in 2018, hopefully in August. And Stu, if people want to connect with you, not just contact you, but if they really want to connect, how do they connect with you, my friend?
What you want to do is you want to send a really nice drone with the No, you can, you know what? LinkedIn is probably the easiest way to connect with me at this point. So you can find me. It's just my name, Stu Heinecke, on LinkedIn. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's by Stu Heinecke. So BYSTUHEINECKE. And those are probably the two easiest ways to do it.
Awesome. So on Twitter, it's by Stu Heinecke. It is on LinkedIn. Just search for Stu's name. Or if you want to get a copy of his book, I'll make sure and put a copy link to that down in the comments. But Stu, this has been great, my friend. Thank you so much for taking time your day to spend with us. You're just awesome.
I love it. Thank you so much, Phil. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you.
We'll see you soon. So we're signing out. We do a little bit more dance here. Eventually it'll go.